I would like to talk for just a few minutes about body language during your presentation at this competition. Now, this is something that surprises a lot of law students because they have never had any, generally speaking, any coaching or training on public speaking. But this is just what this is. It's a public speaking exercise. And I can tell you right now that the judges on the arbitration panel are going to be paying particular attention to your body language, your physical poise during every aspect of your presentation. So let's touch on a couple highlights. Number one, your mother was right. Chin up, shoulders back. Stand, if you're standing, stand erect and straight. If you're sitting, do not slouch in your seat. In the first competition in this ABA arbitration competition tournament, I was the judge, and I was completely distracted by a law student who was sitting at his table and fidgeting nervously with his pencil. He actually had a trick where he would spin the pen around in his hand, and it drew the attention and the comments and the negative marks of all three members of the panel. Do not fidget. Sit still with your hands still. I recommend to law students that when you make an opening statement, or certainly on the closing statement, that you stand. Get up on your feet, whether you're standing at your table in front of your seat, or whether you actually move around to make a delivery at the, I call it the witness table. It is the table that is directly opposite the arbitration panel. I find that this can be very effective. Public speakers know there is great power in standing as opposed to sitting. When you do stand, do not pace back and forth. No arbitrator wants to watch a pacing law student going back and forth like an animal in a cage. Stand with your feet planted, your feet still. We had this comment come up in a recent tournament. I had a student on one of my teams was standing to make his closing statement, and he had a lectern in front of him. He had his hands on the lectern, and he rather casually stood on one foot and crossed the other foot in front of it, and the judges commented on it. Do not cross your feet. Stand with your feet well planted, your shoulders well back, stand erect, and be sure that you are delivering your statement on your feet with the power that's available to you. I mentioned a second ago a lectern. If you do have a lectern in front of you, well-practiced public speakers know never to lean on that lectern, and some students will unconsciously lean over, put an elbow on the lectern, and lean in. And this is very poor posture. It is very poor and very bad habit for public speakers. In fact, do not touch the lectern at all. You can certainly put your notes on it for reference, but stand with your hands free, your hands at your side, and if you are making hand gestures for emphasis, your hands are available for that. So be aware of your hand motions, be aware of your eye contact with your audience, look at the arbitration panel. It helps if you have memorized a large part of your presentation so that you do not have to constantly have your eyes cast down. This is far more effective. It's more persuasive. It's more powerful if you're looking up and your eyes are on your audience. I even suggest to law students that if they are standing at their place, that they not hold a set of notes, a binder, an iPad, or other tablet for reference. If you are standing and perhaps you're standing to examine a witness or cross-examine a witness, I'd leave your notes on the table. If they're difficult to see, then consider recasting those notes for so that they are easy to see. Some students might find it more comfortable to hold small note cards. I'd prefer even those to be on the table. I want your hands free. And consider this. Law students by and large, in my experience, do not have a lot of experience to receive training in public speaking. This is a fundamental exercise in public speaking, and so I urge you in your preparation to stand and give the presentation as you will during competition, and get as much feedback as you can from your fellow students and team members and your coaches. We had one judge in a recent tournament actually suggest that every time the male law students stood up from their seats, that they actually buttoned their suit jackets. This was very important to this arbitrator. He thought it was simply a matter of formal presentation. So it is not, when we say that arbitration is informal, I do not want students preparing for this tournament to think that they are going to be acting or conducting themselves in any kind of informal manner. It is actually very formal.